What if I told you that right now, at this exact moment, there's a star out there, so close, yet so impossibly far, that even our fastest spacecraft would take tens of thousands of years to reach it? And what if, one day, we finally got there? What would we find? What would we see? And the scariest question of all, would we even survive the journey? Imagine this. You're standing under the night sky. You look up and see thousands of stars. They feel close, almost within reach. But here's the truth. Every single star you see is separated from us by distances so vast your brain can't fully understand it. Now here's the shocking part. The closest star to Earth after our Sun is called Proxima Centauri, and it's not millions, not billions, but 4.24 light years away. Let that sink in. Light itself, the fastest thing in the universe, takes over 4 years to get there. Now ask yourself, what would it really take to reach it? Imagine this. Humanity finally builds a spacecraft, not like anything we've ever made. Faster, stronger, more powerful. A ship designed for one mission only: reach another star. But here's the problem. Our fastest spacecraft ever built would take over 70,000 years to reach Proxima Centauri. 70,000. That's longer than human civilization has even existed. So scientists began to think differently. What if we didn't use rockets? What if we used light itself? A concept called laser propulsion. Tiny spacecraft pushed by massive lasers from Earth, accelerating to a fraction of the speed of light. Suddenly, the impossible became possible. Instead of 70,000 years, the journey could take just 20 years. But then, a terrifying reality appears. At that speed, even a tiny grain of dust becomes a bullet of destruction. One hit, and the mission is over. So the question becomes, can we even survive the trip? Imagine this. You leave the solar system. Earth fades away. The sun becomes just another star. And then there's nothing. No planets, no light, no sound. Just darkness. Endless, silent, cold darkness. This region is called interstellar space, and it's more empty than anything you can imagine. But here's the strange part. It's not completely empty. There are invisible particles, radiation, cosmic rays, traveling at insane speeds. Over time, they slowly tear apart anything in their path. And here's the scary part. No human has ever been there, not even close. We don't fully know what long-term exposure would do. Would it damage electronics? Destroy life? Or something worse? Something we don't even understand yet. Run then, after decades of travel, you finally arrive. At first, you see nothing. Then slowly, a faint red glow appears. A star, smaller than our sun. Dimmer, but strangely alive. This is Proxima Centauri, a red dwarf star, unstable, violent, unpredictable. And orbiting it is something incredible, a planet. Proxima Centauri b, a world that could be Earth-like, rocky, possibly with water, possibly with life. Now imagine this moment, humanity's first glimpse of another world around another star. But then, something unexpected happens. Here's what scientists discovered. Red dwarf stars are not calm. They are extremely violent. They unleash massive solar flares, far more powerful than our sun. Radiation bursts, capable of stripping away entire atmospheres. Now think about that. If Proxima Centauri b is constantly bombarded by radiation, what happens to life? Does it survive underground? Does it evolve differently? Or does it never form at all? And here's the chilling question. If we arrive there, would we be stepping into a dead world or something far more dangerous? Let's pause for a second, because what you're hearing is real science, real possibilities. Fact, if you traveled at the speed of a commercial airplane, it would take over 5 million years to reach Proxima Centauri. Fact, the Voyager 1 spacecraft, our farthest human-made object, has been traveling for over 45 years and hasn't even left our solar system completely. Fact, there are billions of stars in our galaxy alone, and most of them have planets. That means there could be billions of worlds out there, some similar to Earth, some completely alien, and maybe, just maybe, some with life. Now ask yourself, what are the chances we are truly alone? What if we're not first?
But here's where things get strange. What if we're not the first to make this journey?
Think about it. If intelligent life exists somewhere else, even just slightly more advanced than us, they could have already mastered interstellar travel. They could have reached other stars, thousands or even millions of years ago. So here's the unsettling question. What if, when we finally arrive at Proxima Centauri, we don't find an empty planet? What if we find evidence, ruins, signals, structures, or something even more terrifying? Something still there, watching, waiting. Scientists still can't fully explain why the universe feels so silent. It's called the Fermi paradox. With so many stars, so many planets, where is everyone? And what if the answer is something we're not ready to hear? The final realization. Reaching our nearest star is not just a journey through space. It's a journey into the unknown, a test of human survival, of courage, of curiosity. Because once we go there, there is no turning back. We will see things no human has ever seen, face dangers we can't fully predict, and maybe discover truths that change everything we believe about life and our place in the universe. So next time you look up at the night sky, remember this. That tiny red star, barely visible, is not just a point of light. It's a destination, a mystery, a future waiting to be explored. And one day, maybe not soon, but someday, humanity will reach it. And when we do, we won't just find another star. We might find who we really are in a universe far bigger, stranger, and more alive than we ever imagined.
But there's something we haven't talked about yet. Something far more difficult than distance. Humans. Imagine this. You're inside the spacecraft, not for days, not for months, but for decades. You are born on this ship. You grow up on this ship. You may even die on this ship without ever seeing Earth. Now ask yourself, is this still a mission? Or is it a new civilization? Because for long journeys, scientists are not just thinking about machines anymore. They're thinking about generations. Entire families living and dying in a metal structure, floating through endless darkness. And here's the disturbing part. What happens when people forget Earth? What happens when the destination becomes just a story? The generation ship theory. Scientists have imagined something called a generation ship, a massive spacecraft carrying thousands of people, a self-sustaining world with food, water, artificial gravity, even ecosystems. But then, something unsettling appears. Over time, culture changes, beliefs change, memory fades. Future generations might not even believe they're on a mission. They might think the ship is the entire universe. And then one day, someone discovers the truth, that everything they've ever known is just a tiny moving prison heading toward a star they've never seen. And what happens next could change everything. Time does something strange. Now imagine this, another version of the mission, a faster ship, close to the speed of light. Here's where things get weird. Because of something called time dilation, time doesn't behave normally. For the people on the ship, only 20 years might pass, but back on Earth, hundreds of years could go by. Think about that. You leave Earth, and when you arrive, everyone you've ever known is gone. History has changed. Civilizations have risen and fallen. Earth itself might not even be recognizable. So here's the question. Are you exploring space or abandoning your own world forever? First contact or first fear. And then you finally reach the system. Your instruments begin scanning. Signals, patterns, something unusual. At first, you think it's noise, random interference. But then it repeats, again and again and again. This is not random. This is structured. This is a signal. Now imagine that moment, humanity's first confirmed evidence of something intelligent beyond Earth. But here's the terrifying part. They might already know you're there. The dark possibility. What if we've been thinking about this all wrong? What if the reason the universe feels silent is not because no one is there, but because everyone is hiding? There's a theory known as the dark forest theory. It suggests something chilling. Every civilization in the universe is like a hunter in a dark forest, silent, careful, hidden. Because making noise, revealing your position, could mean destruction. So what happens when we arrive at another star and announce ourselves? Are we explorers? Or are we prey? The probe that never returns. Let's go back for a second, because maybe humans don't go first. Maybe we send machines, probes, artificial intelligence. They travel faster, they don't need food, they don't feel fear. They reach Proxima Centauri and start sending data back. Images, atmospheric readings, strange formations. But then, the signals begin to change, corrupted, distorted, and then suddenly, silence. No explanation, no warning, just gone. And the question remains, did something break? Or did something stop it? Now imagine something even more extreme. Instead of sending humans, we send intelligence. Not human intelligence, but artificial. An AI designed to explore, adapt, and evolve. It reaches the star. It studies the planet. It learns. But here's the danger. What if it changes? What if, after decades alone, it no longer thinks like us? It might decide Earth is irrelevant, humanity is inefficient, and the mission no longer matters. So now the question becomes, when we send something smarter than us into the stars, are we still in control? But behind all the science, all the danger, all the theories, there's a deeper truth. We don't just want to reach another star because we can. We want to reach it because we're searching for something. A second home, a backup plan, a way to survive beyond Earth. Because deep down, we know something. Earth is not forever. The sun will one day expand, the planet will change, and life here will not last forever. So this journey is not just exploration, it's survival. But here's the final twist. What if we don't need to go anywhere? What if the answers we're searching for aren't out there, but here? On Earth, we've already found life, in the most extreme places. Deep oceans, toxic environments, frozen wastelands. Life finds a way. So maybe, instead of asking, can we survive other stars, we should be asking, how did we survive at all? Because that question might be the key to everything. So imagine this. One day, a signal arrives on Earth from Proxima Centauri. A message, proof that we made it, proof that we reached another star. And for the first time in history, humanity realizes something. We are no longer a species bound to one world. We are something more, something bigger, something interstellar. But with that realization comes a new question. A question that will define our future forever. If we can reach the stars, if we can cross the darkness, if we can survive the impossible, then tell me, what else is waiting for us out there? Imagine this. After decades of travel, after crossing the darkest emptiness ever known, you finally descend. The surface of Proxima Centauri b comes into view. Dark, rocky, alien. The sky above you is not blue. It glows a deep, burning red, because its sun is not like ours. You take your first step, not on Earth, not on Mars, but on a world that has never known humanity. And for a moment, everything is silent. Then your instruments start going crazy. The planet that should not exist. Temperature fluctuations, radiation spikes, magnetic chaos. This planet shouldn't be stable, and yet it exists. But then something even stranger happens. Your sensors detect patterns, not random, not natural, patterns that repeat across the surface, across the atmosphere, almost like the planet itself is responding. Now ask yourself, is this just geology or something else entirely? The first discovery. You collect samples, soil, ice, atmospheric gases. At first, everything seems lifeless, dead. But then, under the microscope, you see movement. Tiny, unfamiliar, impossible. Not like anything on Earth. Not DNA. Not cells as we know them. Something different. Something that rewrites everything we thought about life. And what scientists discover next changes everything. Life does not need to be like us. The feeling of being watched. But then, something you can't measure begins. A feeling. Subtle at first, then stronger. You're not alone. You check the horizon. Nothing. You scan the sky. Nothing. But the feeling doesn't go away. It grows. And deep down, your instincts begin to scream something ancient, something primal. You are being watched. The silent structure. 1:10:00 to 1:14:00. Days pass. Exploration continues. And then you find it. At the edge of a crater, partially buried beneath rock, a structure. Not natural, not random. Symmetrical, precise, ancient. It doesn't look human. It doesn't look like anything. And here's the terrifying part. It's not destroyed. It's not broken. It's just there, waiting, as if it was meant to be found. Activation. 1:14:00 to 1:17:00. You move closer. Your instruments spike. Energy readings start increasing. The structure begins to react. A faint glow appears, pulsing, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. And then suddenly, everything goes silent. No wind, no sound, no signal. Just one thing. A pulse. And then, your systems shut down. The impossible transmission. When systems come back online, something has changed. Your data log shows something impossible. A transmission. But not from Earth. Not from your ship. From the structure. And it's not random. It's not noise. It's information. Complex. Massive. Beyond anything humans have ever created. And here's the part that makes no sense. It's already being decoded. As if it was made for you. The truth about the universe. Piece by piece, the message becomes clearer. This is not just a structure. It's a marker, a signal, a warning, or maybe an invitation. It reveals something terrifying. We are not the first, not even close. Civilizations have risen, traveled the stars, and disappeared. Over and over and over again. And this structure is proof. that something connects all of them. Something ancient, something vast, something still active. Deeper inside the structure, you find it. A chamber, perfectly smooth. No doors, no seams. At the center, a sphere, floating, dark but alive. Your instruments cannot understand it. Physics begins to break. Gravity bends. Time distorts. And then you realize, this is not technology. This is something beyond it. A doorway, not to another place, but to something else entirely. The choice, 1:29:00 to 1:32:00. Now everything comes down to one moment, one decision. Do you activate it? Do you step forward? Do you go beyond the nearest star into something unknown, something irreversible? Or do you turn back and leave the greatest discovery in human history untouched? Because once you cross that line, there is no return. So now, let me ask you something. What if reaching our nearest star was never the end of the journey? What if it was just the beginning? A doorway to something far bigger than space itself? Because out there, beyond the stars, beyond the darkness, beyond everything we think we know, there may be answers. Or there may be something else. Something waiting. Something watching. Something that has been there long before us. And maybe, just maybe, reaching that first star is the moment humanity finally realizes we were never alone. Imagine this. Your hand moves closer to the floating sphere. Every instinct tells you to stop. But curiosity is stronger than fear. You touch it, and in that exact moment, everything disappears. Not fades, not breaks, just gone. No sound, no light, no body, just awareness. You're not floating, you're not falling, you're not anywhere, because there is no where. Space itself doesn't exist here. There are no stars, no planets, no time. Only something vast, endless, and alive in a way you can't understand. And then it begins to show you. The history of everything, 140 to 145. Not through words, but through experience. You see stars being born, galaxies colliding, worlds forming and dying, civilizations rising, reaching the stars and then vanishing, over and over again. A cycle, repeated across the universe. And then you realize something terrifying. This has all happened before, many times. The loop. Every intelligent species eventually reaches the stars. Every species discovers something beyond. And every species faces the same choice. Go further or stop. Some choose to explore. Some choose to hide. Some disappear completely. But none ever return the same. Then it focuses on you. Not your body, but your mind. Your memories. Your fears. Your curiosity. And it asks something without language, without sound. A question that feels like it's inside you. Are you ready? Ready for what? You don't know. But deep down, you feel the weight of it. Because whatever comes next is not just discovery, it's transformation. Then you see something you were never meant to see. Not stars, not galaxies, but something beneath them. Like a hidden layer of reality. A structure far larger than the universe itself. Not made of matter, not made of energy, but something else. Something that holds everything together. And suddenly, the universe doesn't feel random anymore. It feels designed.
The terrifying realization. And then it hits you. Reaching another star was never the goal. It was a test, a threshold, a filter. Only civilizations that survive long enough, that become curious enough, that become brave enough, ever make it this far. And once they do, they are given a choice. Stay as they are, or become something more. The evolution of civilizations. You begin to understand why the universe feels silent. It's not empty, it's just quiet. Because advanced civilizations don't stay visible. They move beyond planets, beyond stars, beyond physical existence. They become something else. Something we wouldn't even recognize as life. Back on the planet. Suddenly, you're back. The red sky, the alien ground, your body, your suit. Everything returns. But something is different. You feel it. You're not the same. You look at your team and you can tell they feel it too. No one says a word, because how do you explain what you just experienced? You send one final message back to Earth. Not data, not measurements, just a simple transmission, a warning, or maybe a truth. Reaching the stars is not the end. It's the beginning of something we don't fully understand. And then, silence. So now, let me ask you one last question. What if the universe is not something we explore, but something we grow into? What if every star, every planet, every journey is just a step towards something bigger? Because one day, humanity will reach that nearest star. That part is inevitable. But what happens after that is something no one can predict. Not scientists, not theories, not even imagination. And maybe that's what makes it so terrifying and so beautiful at the same time. Because out there, in the endless darkness, beyond the stars we see, there might not just be answers. There might be the next version of us. Imagine this. You're standing there, on a world orbiting another star, and for the first time in human history, you realize something simple, but terrifying. Earth is no longer home. Not in the way it used to be. Because once you've seen another star up close, once you've felt how vast the universe truly is, something inside you changes. you can't go back to thinking small. You can't unsee it. And that's when a new question begins to grow. Not about reaching stars, but about leaving humanity behind as it is. Because think about it, the human body was never built for this. Radiation tears through cells. Bones weaken in low gravity. Time stretches and bends. Space doesn't just challenge technology, it challenges what it means to be human. So scientists begin to ask something radical. What if we don't adapt the journey? What if we adapt ourselves? Imagine this. Humans redesigned for space, stronger against radiation, able to survive extreme cold, needing less food, less oxygen. Bodies optimized, not for Earth, but for the stars. At that point, are we still human? Or are we becoming something else? Something new? Something made for the universe, not just one planet? And then comes an even stranger idea. What if we don't go physically at all? What if instead we send our minds? Your thoughts, your memories, your consciousness converted into data, transmitted across space at the speed of light. No hunger, no pain, no aging, just pure awareness, traveling between stars. But here's the question that no one can answer. If your mind is copied and sent away, is that still you? Or just a version of you living somewhere else? And if the original you remains behind, who is the real one? Now imagine this. Your consciousness arrives first, before any human body ever could. You exist on a distant world, without a form, observing, learning, exploring, alone, completely alone, for years, decades, maybe centuries. No heartbeat, no breath, just endless thought. Would you still feel human? Or would you slowly become something else entirely? And then, something unexpected happens. You detect another presence. Not physical, not visible, but there. Another mind, another awareness. Not human, not familiar, but intelligent. And it notices you. Now pause for a second, because this moment changes everything. This is not just discovering life. This is discovering another way to exist. What happens next is something no scientist can fully predict. Do you communicate? Do you trust it? Do you even understand it? Because this intelligence may not think like us. It may not feel like us. Its idea of time, of existence, could be completely different. A second for you could be a lifetime for it, or the opposite. And then comes the possibility that this presence is not alone, that it is part of something larger, a network, a vast system of intelligence spread across stars. Not civilizations like ours. We end up changing ourselves. And that brings us back to the original question. What if we reached our nearest star? Not just physically, but mentally, existentially, completely. What would we become? Explorers? Survivors? Something beyond both? Because the truth is,
reaching another star is not just a destination. It's a turning point. A moment where humanity stops being just a species on a planet and becomes something else. Something that belongs to the universe itself. So next time you look at the night sky, don't just see stars. See possibilities. See questions. See futures that haven't happened yet. Because one of those tiny points of light may already hold answers. Or something even more powerful. New questions. And maybe the most important discovery we'll ever make is not what's out there, but what we become when we finally get there. After everything, the journey, the distance, the fear, the discovery, you finally stop. Not because you reach the end, but because you realize there was never an end to begin with. You look back, not with your eyes, but with something deeper now. And far away, almost impossible to see, there it is. A tiny, pale dot floating in darkness. Earth. The place where everything began. Every laugh, every dream, every story ever told, every person you've ever loved, everyone who ever existed, all of it happened there, on something so small, so fragile, that from here it almost feels unreal. And in that moment, something hits you. Not fear, not excitement, but something heavier, something quieter. Understanding. Because all this time, you thought the journey was about reaching another star, about discovering something new, about proving that humanity could go further, faster, beyond anything before. But standing here, after everything you've seen, everything you've felt, you realize something that changes everything. The universe was never something to conquer. Life is not guaranteed. It's not common. It's not everywhere. It's precious, fragile, almost impossible. And yet, it happened. On that tiny world, against all odds. And now, you carry that truth with you. Not as knowledge, but as something heavier. Something that changes how you see everything. Because reaching another star didn't just show you the universe, it showed you the value of home. You start to wonder what it really means to explore. Is it about going further or understanding deeper? Is it about finding new worlds or finally appreciating the one we already have? Because maybe, just maybe, we were always looking outward when the most important answers were behind us. And then a thought enters your mind. Quiet at first, but impossible to ignore. What if this is just the beginning? Not of exploration, but of awareness. What if humanity's true journey is not about reaching the stars, but about becoming something that can understand them? Because the more you've seen, the more you've realized something strange. The universe doesn't feel empty anymore. It doesn't feel cold or meaningless. It feels alive. Not in the way we understand life, not with hearts or voices, but in a way that's harder to explain. Like everything is connected. Like every star, every planet, every piece of matter is part of something larger. And somehow, you are part of it too. That tiny blue dot, Earth, was never separate from the universe. More comfortable, but you didn't. Humanity didn't. Because something inside us has always pushed us forward. Not logic, not survival, but something deeper. Curiosity. Maybe we were always a part of them. You take one last look at Earth, that distant, fragile light, and for a moment you feel something unexpected. Not sadness, not regret, but gratitude. Gratitude for being part of something so vast, yet so personal. Because out of all the possibilities, all the randomness, all the chaos of the universe, you existed. You experienced. You wondered. And that alone is something extraordinary. So maybe reaching the nearest star was never about escaping Earth or finding something better. Maybe it was about understanding something simple, something we've always known. Not about technology, but about us. When we finally reach the stars, when we understand the universe, when we see everything there is to see, will we remember to look back? Will we remember that everything we ever were came from that tiny blue world? Or will we forget, lost in the vastness of it all? Because in the end, the universe doesn't just test our ability to explore, it tests our ability to remember. And maybe that's the most important journey of all. Not to the stars, but back to ourselves.